Hello and welcome to Countdown to Power with me, Graeme Pryce. In the early 2000s, I was working in my local cinema. I loved it. It was hard work, but it was good fun sometimes. I remember a film being released called Death Watch. It was one of those sort of fusion films. In this case, a horror film crossed with a war film. It was about a haunted World War I trench. I liked it so much that I bought the DVD, and it's one of the only films I've ever liked enough to bother to watch the commentary with the actors. One of which was Laurence Fox. He plays an overprivileged but generally decent English officer who is way out of his depth, accidentally shoots one of his own men and then goes bonkers. Well, Laurence Fox has been putting pictures of himself all over Twitter lately, showing him firing guns on some trip to America he's been on. I don't think he's managed to accidentally shoot anybody yet, but a quick look at anything he's done, said or supported over the last few years will show you that he has indeed gone bonkers. Amazing how art imitates life sometimes, isn't it? Hey, just a quick interjection. I just want to say that if you enjoy the video, then remember to hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. We really appreciate it, don't we, Annie? If you really want to help out, then you can make a donation via PayPal or the Buy Me a Coffee page or become a patron. Links are in the description box. What's that I can see over there? Oh my god, it's a light at the end of the tunnel. We haven't seen one of them for years, have we? Thank you. I suppose the public school upbringing and stench of privilege has always been quite strongly evident around Mr. Fox. So when he transitioned from relatively mediocre actor to right-wing political grifter, nobody was particularly surprised. It was after an appearance on Question Time where he claimed he'd been cancelled as an actor for having political views and for challenging the woke orthodoxy of white privilege and systemic racism that he decided to start his own political party called the Reclaim Party. The website's still up, you can go and have a look at it. It's a self-serving peacock display of a man with far too much money, too little empathy, and a complete lack of self-awareness. It's also hypocritical as fuck. This is what it says about equality. We believe in equality and respect for all, irrespective of ethnicity, religion and sexual orientation. This is the picture that Laurence posted on Twitter a few days ago. Apparently some are more equal than others and trans people are less equal than everyone. On Father's Day a few years ago, he didn't spend the day posting proud pictures of his children showing their appreciation for their loving father like most people would have done. Now, he posted a video of himself ranting about trans people and burning gay pride flags in the garden of his multi-million-pound house. Yeah, it's hard to even know what to say about that, isn't it? Starting a political party to espouse his extremist and disgusting views isn't the only vanity project that Laurence has pissed away his money on, though. No, not by a long shot. You see, if you go and search for Laurence Fox on YouTube, you'll get a rather peculiar mix of clips of him saying particularly nasty things, the media reporting on him saying nasty things, and his own channel where he posts his music. As you can probably guess, it isn't very good. It's a perfect example of how rich people think they can buy an expensive guitar and pay a producer to assist them and then churn out music that's as good as people who bought their first guitar in a pawn shop when they were 17 and spent years learning to actually play it. They think money can replace talent and dedication. They never had to get their first decent guitar by going back to the guitar shop for months on end, paying a £5 a week until they could eventually take it home. Not that I'm bitter or anything. Sometimes the guitar playing in his music is reasonably competent, but it's not very inventive. And it only sounds good in any case because he's paid people with real talent, thousands probably, to turn his transphobic poems into lyrics. It's the kind of music that sounds expensive but not particularly good. His voice is absolutely shite as well. Though, you wouldn't want to listen to much of it anyway because his lyrics are all about how much he hates things, how downtrodden he is, and how everybody is out to undermine his freedom of speech. Yeah. Laurence Fox, the former actor who has a vast fortune and quite a big following on social media, is oppressed and he feels persecuted for his view that trans people shouldn't be allowed to exist. Even Nadine fucking Dorries couldn't make that one up. She's probably capable of writing better lyrics though. Now, of course, when any right-wing culture war-obsessed, grifting little cockwomble comes to any prominence, they can expect to be regularly offered a slot to espouse their hatred on GB News. If they're really fucking horrible and they know how to behave around the camera, they might even get a job. Until recently, GB News employed a perfect trifecta of such horrible little wankshafts. They had Calvin Harris, the infamous hypocrite who pretends to be a preacher, Dan Wootton, infamous sex pest who pretends to be a journalist, and Laurence Fox, who occasionally pretends to be a normal human being. The mask slipped during a conversation about the journalist Eva Evans, who had discussed the point that suicide is the biggest killer of men among a certain age in the UK, with comedian Jeff Norcott on a BBC political show. For some reason, Laurence was outraged by this and came out with a few choice statements. Bad choices, as it turns out. Of Eva Evans, he commented, "That little woman has been spoon-fed oppression all her life." That's pretty patronising, to say the least. But he also went on to say, "No self-respecting man would climb into bed with that woman." Even notorious sex pest Dan Wootton looked a bit shocked. But it was Laurence going on to say, "Who'd want to shag that?" Which was apparently a step too far. Ofcom received nearly 9,000 complaints, which they didn't do anything about, obviously. But GB News did sack Laurence and Calvin, the hate preacher, who had come out in support of him. Dan Wootton, the sex pest, lasted a little bit longer, but his contract was terminated while he was under suspension. It amazes me that Fox would actually think any woman wants to shag him anyway. It looks like a cross between a hobo, a shite tennis player, and a streak of smelly piss, doesn't he? Who'd want to shag that? Of course, while telling us all that the Tories are disgusting, which might be one of the few things he's ever said that I agreed with, he's entirely willing to garner vote and support by telling blatant lies and scaremongering in the exact same way that they do. He honed this skill during the pandemic, where he tried to undermine government lockdown advice, jumped on the anti-mask bandwagon, and of course dabbled with anti-vax bullshit, obviously. After noticing that the Tories had scraped a narrow victory by scaremongering Londoners about the ULEZ campaign, he decided to jump on that bandwagon too. There was one point shortly after that by-election when a group of utterly brainless and gaslit gimboids decided to try and damage the cameras that had been put in place for the ULEZ thing. Apparently, they don't want their children to grow up breathing clean air or grow up in a city that's, not drowning in carbon monoxide. Well, maybe they just didn't have a fucking clue what they were on about because they were looking to people like Laurence Fox for guidance. In any case, Fox tweeted about it quite a lot and encouraged people to go out and damage the ULEZ cameras. Again, it rather heavily backfired on him now, as he was arrested for conspiracy to commit criminal damage on the same day that he was sacked by GB News. Bad times, Lozzie? Bear in mind, Laurence Fox is easily able to pay for any ULEZ charge. And if he didn't want to, he could very easily afford to buy himself a ULEZ compliant car. Although, he actually already has one. He drives a ULEZ compliant Jaguar. Didn't mention that in his tweet when he was inciting people to go out and commit crimes though, did he? What a twat. You may have noticed that there's a particularly nasty word that is one of few that I find offensive and try not to allow in my comments. Or maybe I'm getting delusions of grandeur and nobody's actually paying that much attention. But in any case, it is something that's come up once or twice. It's this modern tendency to use words like nonce and pedo to insult people just because you don't agree with them. I fucking despise Ian Duncan Smith, but I wouldn't call him a nonce because that suggests he abuses children. Do you know what a nonce actually is? Do you know what the word stands for? I do. It's an acronym. It stands for not on normal courtyard exercise. And it usually applies in prisons to inmates who can't be allowed out to exercise with the other inmates for fear of them being attacked for their abhorrent and disgusting crimes, usually against children. Laurence probably doesn't know that. He certainly wasn't thinking about it when he took to Twitter to accuse Simon Blake, a Stonewall trustee, and Colin Seymour, a drag performer, of being paedophiles. They both successfully brought a case against him for that. Though he tried to counterclaim as they called him racist, but the judge didn't allow it because he clearly is racist, isn't he? He was ordered to pay them £90,000 each, £180,000 fine. And then he spent days on Twitter complaining that his freedom of speech had been restricted. I don't believe he doesn't know how incredibly offensive, homophobic and disgraceful it is to spread the trope that all gay men are paedophiles. Maybe he doesn't, and he is just that fucking stupid. Who knows? But obviously, he was the victim. He doesn't seem to realise that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from the consequences of your speech, your hate speech. Fucking horrible bastard. Thank you for watching if you've gotten this far. Laurence Fox really is a hateful prick, isn't he? Yeah. It was much easier to write and research a video about him than it is about any of the Tories, though, because he doesn't get to decide what our laws are or shape our society, does he? I've wanted to make this video for a while, though. I'm very much a live and let live type person, and it staggers me that anybody who is so rich that they'll never have to choose between instant noodles or dry beans on value toast for the tea can wake up in the morning and still be angry with the world just because trans people exist. J.K. Rowling's another one, as is Graham Linehan, the guy who wrote The IT Crowd. Have a look at his Twitter feed. It's shocking. These people, they've got so much and they want for nothing, and yet they still spend their days desperately looking for validation by attacking minorities. It's just insane, isn't it? If you're as disgusted by Laurence Fox as I am and you've enjoyed the video, the best way you can help the channel is by subscribing if you haven't already. And if you can, hit the like button and hit the bell too. If you want to contribute a bit more, then there are links to PayPal, Patreon and the Buy Me a Coffee page in the description box. Anything from a click of the like button to a little tip on Buy Me a Coffee is very, very much appreciated indeed. I'll vaguely keep an eye on the bullshit Laurence Fox comes out with as the election campaign goes on. I don't think he's given up on the idea of his daft political party yet either. The website's still up, but it doesn't mention anything about the election. In any case, he's such an objectionable twat that he's going to have very little to no effect whatsoever on it anyway, is he? He certainly isn't anything other than a stain in the road on our countdown to power. On the 4th of July we kiss the Tories goodbye. Oh, fuck the Tories, fuck the Tories. Do you like that? I do.